It's a normal busy day in the city life of Korea. Busy streets and crowded buses where citizens fight and push through each other to get to their respective destinations. As the bus comes to a stop, our protagonist makes his appearance. Song-woo, a returned second-year college student. Frustrated and mad over the packed bus transportation, he reminisces over his first-year endeavors on how he ever made it through this madness. As he was pondering over his options on how to fix this commuting problem, he heard a voice from behind him with an joking mocking tone, "Is a cruel 2-hour commute is too much for our Special Forces former sergeant." Hanho saluting and smiling at Song-woo over the matter. Hanho also a returned student picking on his friend from the previous year. Song-woo responds back with a jab asking Hanho saying that he should at least be in the service before commenting on the matter and mocking him saying he can't run away forever. Song-woo picks on his friend some more laughing that he wasted his time over a girl, Myung, that he didn't even get. Hanho instantly gets sad and depressed telling Song-woo he went too far. Time passed as both students continue walking through the campus. Song-woo starts feeling bad for his friend. Song-woo stops and turns around to his friend asking him if he's alright, and is he crying? Hanho not paying attention to Song-woo remarks tells Song-woo to look to the sky. He sees some writing saying downloading monsters and the percentage bar saying 99%. Once 100% the message disappeared from the sky. Song-woo staring intently does not see any message in the sky. Song-woo once again starts picking on his friend and teasing him over Myung, saying that his friend must be imagining things and is getting really lonely. Hanho gets frustrated and tells Song-woo that the message was there and couldn't have been seeing things. Song-woo horse playing with his friend tells him that he's been playing too many video games and now he can't differentiate virtual to reality. He tells his friend to get it together and that they're both going to be late to class. Both Song-woo and Hanho separate and go off to their classes. As class begins, students are taking their seats and the professor is going on with his first lesson of the day. Song-woo feeling tired and sleepy over the boring lecture, starts dazing off. Suddenly a bright blue light message board appears in front of him, saying, "What is the best job to have in a post-apocalyptic world? Choose now." Song-woo startled and surprised over this new sudden encounter rereads the message board display again. Wondering if he's seeing things from him being tired, he starts rubbing his eyes. Soon the projector malfunctions and cuts off, and now the building is going through a power outage. Some of the students started to panic and get anxious over the situation. Song-woo knows that a blackout in the middle of the day is odd and something is not right about this situation. One of the students noticed that their normal cell phones won't even turn on in a panic expression. Another student points out that she must be seeing things, and is she the only one that see this? The same message board appears in front of the students in the classroom. Someone wondering if it's real or if it's a hologram. The message board then changes telling the students that they have 15 seconds to choose. A string of cards appears in front of Song-woo, like something out of a video game where a person is bestowed. Before him was a stack of cards that fell down like a video game placed before him. Song-woo ponder. Cards. One of the students was about to select a card, but one of his fellow peers stopped the student, telling the student to not touch the cards and that they could be dangerous. Song-woo was thinking the complete opposite of the student. Song-woo imagined that it would be more dangerous if they did not select anything within the 15 seconds. He starts questioning himself whether to select a card and is it something like a gambling game. As the time starts ticking down, Song-woo has only 8 seconds left to choose a card. One of the cards he's about to select suddenly vanishes. From out the air appears a sword falling down in front of one of his classmates, Min-soo. The students are shocked of the sudden appearance of it. Song-woo starts reflecting back, thinking that the card that disappeared from his option has now materialized before them. Song-woo now starts reflecting back to the first message that was brought to them, telling the students to choose the best job for survival in a post-apocalyptic world. He sees that the number of stars are different for each card. At the last minute, Songwoo quickly reaches out and grabs the card with the most stars. The system gives him a notification that he has selected a card. The system tells Songwoo that he is now a Necromancer. A card with a 5-star rating. Songwoo dwelled on the card meaning Necromancer as it dissolved into his hand. Another notification comes up telling all the students that the first job selection has ended, and that there will be another time in the near future. The message board then vanished without a trace, like it was never there to begin with. The lights suddenly appear back and the power has been restored to the facility. Sometime now later, Min-soo is holding on to his new acquired sword. Some of the students asking if it's real, while others is wondering what just happened during those changes of events. Min-soo tells the students he doesn't know, and that he only chose the warrior card. Then suddenly a sword appears before him. Songwoo starts reflecting over Min-soo's statement, and wonders if he really is a necromancer. And if so, why hasn't nothing appeared before him? Suddenly an explosion occurs from the back door of the classroom. A student comes diving in with a creature attached to his back. Blood is gushing out the backside of the student as the creature is holding a small dagger, pulling the blade out. The student yells out for someone to help him and to get this creature off his back. The creature continues to repeatedly stab the student as he screams out in agony. The rest of the students only watch in horror, paralyzed to even move. Seconds later, the student is killed by the creature and silence fills the room. The creature lets out a menacing screech, setting his eyes on the students to become his next victims on its bloody onslaught. The students in complete terror all run to the front of the classroom, leaving only Songwoo to be in the back with the creature. Songwoo curses at himself, can't believing on deciding to select a chair in the back of the classroom for that day. The creature lets out a piercing screech over its kill and causes panic amongst the students. One of his fellow classmates tells Min-soo to use his newly attained sword that has gotten, while the other one is telling him to just do anything. Min-soo thinks out loud, what can he even do, while his classmates yell at him to use the sword. Songwoo turns around nervously and asks Min-soo if he still remembers him. Min-soo curses at himself for being helpless over the situation and that he's not ready to adapt to this violent situation. Songwoo dies a little on the inside, knowing that he's screwed and the fact of his classmate being useless to help. The creature makes a sudden lunge at Songwoo with its dagger in his hand, on the intent to kill Songwoo. Songwoo quickly decides to run to his fellow students but suddenly stops, knowing that the same fate will occur if he shows his back to this creature. Songwoo does a quick turnaround and lands a powerful kick to the creature. The creature is then sent flying back several feet, sliding in the process, trying to regain its footing. Songwoo realizes that the creature is only roughly 30 pounds, and that there's no need to be afraid of this dwarf fiend. Songwoo adrenaline starts pumping and he swiftly grabs a chair and starts running towards the creature direction. The creature, still not recovered from the kick he received, braces himself and lets out a screech, launching himself at Songwoo. Songwoo in terror prepares for the attack and delivers a devastating blow and smashes the creature with the chair. The creature is now dead with a chair splitting its body in two. Songwoo starts gasping for air from the attack he delivers, while his fellow students and professor stand paralyzed from behind him. A message board appears in front of Songwoo saying that he has hunted a goblin and has received 10 gold from this achievement. Songwoo was wondering what is this and couldn't believe that this world is now becoming a game. He realizes that understanding this message is crucial and is going to play a huge part in this new role of survival. Suddenly another message appears, informing Songwoo that the goblin he just previously killed has now enthralled to him. A list of stats appear in front of Songwoo, giving him information about the newly undead. He then thinks of the option given before him. A cadaver, he says. He chooses this option and his classmates let out some shrieks. His classmates tell Songwoo to look behind him. From behind him arises a skeleton being summoned from the dead corpse of the goblin he recently killed. Song-woo stands there baffled and yet somehow amazed. He says this is a skeleton. This is the true power of being a necromancer. He then starts having foresight of the abyss and seeing the undead. As the complete monarch over them, he stands as the ruler over them. Yes, this is the power. This is what it means to be a necromancer. Suddenly 2 more goblins rushed into the room. Both, just like the first goblin. The 2 goblins with their hostile eyes gave the students an unpleasing gaze with an aptitude to kill them. The students yell out in fear over their sudden appearance. Song-woo was standing there with his newly born minion wondering what to do next. A message board was given to Song-woo telling him that his minion was awaiting his command. Song-woo tells his minion to fight and to get rid of these hostile goblins. His skeleton goblin stands up fearless, ready to engage the enemies that approach his master. The 2 goblins become hesitant over this sudden encounter. Suddenly the goblin skeleton lunges at the 2 goblins. Stabbing one in the process, the goblin that was stabbed pushes the skeleton off him while blood comes flying out his arm. The other goblin rushes in to help his friend and it is now an all-out skirmish between them. One of the goblin manages to chop off the arm of the goblin skeleton. They proceeded to keep attacking the goblin skeleton, hoping they could eliminate this threat before them. Song-woo, just watching from the distance, knows that the situation isn't looking good for his goblin skeleton. And that he must do something quickly or things are going to turn to the worse. He knows that they're not tough opponents and they are only the size of children. Song-woo with quick thinking turns around to Min-soo and yells out to give him the sword quickly. Min-soo hesitates and asks why. Song-woo with no time tells him he needs it quickly so that he can kill the goblins. Cowardly Min-soo yells back that the sword is mine and that he was the one that drew it. Song-woo tells him to go and help kill them then. Min-soo looks at the scary goblins and squeaks in a petrified state. Song-woo tells Min-soo never mind and for him to keep his sword to peel some potatoes. Song-woo picks up a chair and rushes into the fight to help out his minion. Song-woo throws the chair at the goblins, causing them both to be crushed by its impact. His minion quickly takes the opportunity and lunges at both of the immobilized goblins. Song-woo receives 10 gold from both of the goblins his minion killed. The sight of the creatures being killed by his minion made Song-woo feel unsure about the situation. His minion was staring at his master, awaiting for his next command in a cute but creepy manner. Song-woo was starting to feel awkward and told his minion to look elsewhere, making his skeleton feel bad. Suddenly a new message board display shows for Song-woo saying that he has maxed out his bloodkin count. Both corpses of the newly killed goblins suddenly rises and joins Song-woo ranks amongst the undead. His classmates and professor was dumbfounded over the event, started asking Song-woo what's going on. Song-woo was unsure over the matter, but suddenly he heard a scream coming from his classmate. She was saying that the police station isn't responding and she cannot get into contact with anyone. Song-woo starts approaching the window and peers out over the campus. He starts seeing the streets and buildings set in a blaze. Fires were all over the city and smoke filling the air. He realizes this may not be happening not only at the campus but possibly the entire country may be dealing with this new chaotic world. Realizing this, one of Song-woo's classmates yelled that they must evacuate the building. As the students were walking down the hallway, they see eyes peering through the darkness fixed on their location. Goblins! The students yelled out in terror as they ran down the hallway. One of the goblins giving chase, ready to pounce on one unlucky student. Suddenly Song-woo's skeletons appear in front of the goblins, halting them from attacking the students. An all-out melee brawl is going down in the middle of the hallway. Song-woo yells to his classmates to keep running and that he will hold them off. As the fight continues on, Song-woo starts thinking about the changing events that took place in this short time period. The idea that the world is now running like a game. And with this new game there are set rules that must be followed in order to survive. Songwoo starts piecing together what the game has allowed so far, from the start of having your own class and the abilities that comes with, and the ideas of monsters spawning in this new world. With any new game, Songwoo knows that in order to survive he must fight to get stronger. But for right now he will use his minions to do the fighting. Songwoo only watches as the fight intensifies in front of him. Both Songwoo minions and the two goblins are fighting to the death, where only one faction will be left standing. One of the goblins delivers a powerful blow against Songwoo minions and proceeds to finish his minion off with a swift attack to his head. The head goes flying to Songwoo feet. A message board appears, "Your bloodkin returned to eternal death." At this point Songwoo can only pray that his two minions can defeat the two goblins. Both goblins at this point are exhausted and fatigued from all the fighting, while Songwoo skeleton minions don't tire due to them being undead. Songwoo skeletons rushed the two goblins while they were not ready for the next attack. The two goblins could not keep up with the continuously fighting and were swiftly defeated by Songwoo skeletons. Songwoo earned 10 gold from both of the dead goblins. He congratulates his minions on the victory and just blew a sign of relief. He gets a new message that his level has increased to level 2. Songwoo is then surprised of the features of the new world and that it has a leveling system, and that it is now possible to check his status window for his character. Songwoo now see his player profile and his ranking and stats. Songwoo notices there are abilities and skills, but he wonders, shouldn't a player get certain points or rewards every time they increase their own level? Suddenly a new message board appears in front of him telling him to pick a card. He is given 5 options to choose for his own pickings. Songwoo is disappointed for it being a random selection amongst the choices and he could be bestowed with anything. Songwoo decides to pick the skill card and he gets a new skill. His minion count has now increased by 1. Songwoo can now control 4 goblin skeletons amongst him. He sees that he is running out of mana and he only has a total cap of 30. He looks at his new group of goblins, understanding that they do not consume a lot of mana for each summon. Songwoo again gets creeped out by his minions staring intently at him and just tells them to look the other way. For some while now Songwoo is resting with his minions guarding him. Songwoo starts strategizing, saying that he must keep it together amongst this chaotic new world. And survival is the first thing. For now he knows he must escape this area and rethink of a new way to go about getting stronger. As he looks out the window he sees nothing but carnage in the streets. Citizens being mauled and attacked by goblins. Songwoo watches from the distance and thinks that it's better inside the building than it is to be out there. But he knows that he cannot continue to stay inside this building. He then proceeds to head down the hallway to begin his next chapter. Thank you for watching part 1, feel free to subscribe to get more updates on new episodes. Please type Necro in the comments for more episodes.